Yes, the landing. That famous or infamous landing. I shared this landing with, approximately, let me see now. There were about 10 of us, 9 or 10 of us, sharing that landing. And my room was the one which was very close to the entrance, which was right at the top of the stairs, and took you right downstairs to the second level, and then eventually to the ground level, which was facing the car park. You crossed through the car park and would get into the hospital itself and find your way to whichever department you were looking for. My colleagues and the other ladies who shared the landing with myself were mainly nurses or student nurses. Returning to the event that took place, or the incident, when one evening after work I was in my room, minding my own business, relaxing from a hard day's work, when I heard somebody downstairs, directly below the floor I was on, shouting out, "Come out and show yourself, you bastard." I don't want to say that word, but I hope you can put it together nicely yourselves and say it to yourselves under your breath, preferably. So I heard somebody shouting out upstairs this sentence. And like I've told you before, I didn't want to think they were shouting it at myself, but I couldn't help thinking that they were, because I stayed in my room and I'd already got some vibes and was playing stupid, of course, otherwise, it's difficult to get through that kind of a setup. But, of course, he didn't say it to me in my face, and so I had to let that one go as well. And in the words of one of my colleagues in the pharmacy department, I let it go like water off a duck's back. That's how they used to say it, like water off a duck's back, which means in the way that water rolls off the back of a duck and it comes to nothing. That is how Mobina deals with these comments. And again, I'll say, there's not much one can do about somebody in the hospital who works in the hospital and is living downstairs. I believe he was one of the porters, shouting openly at anyone, "Come and show yourself, you bastard." I can't see at what point I can go down and say, yes, you were talking to me, I know you were, and therefore I've come to put things right. Now, of course, they've managed to match my details with Sister Marwa Shabini and have finally reached their goal and stabbed an effigy of myself. So with evidence, I can actually pinpoint and say, no, I wasn't going mad, and I definitely wasn't paranoid, and I definitely am not paranoid. So I did have a valid point back then. My hunches were definitely credible ones and haven't been proven wrong. For those people who wish to say that I'm the chicken, well, why don't you comment on these videos if you would be good enough to, and give your comments and feedback as to whether you think there is a case to be addressed here, rather than saying, Mobina, they pick on you because you're a chicken, and it took such a fantastic setup and arrangement organised by chief executives because you're a chicken. I mean, do they really do that? 2 chickens, do they really need to go that far? Perhaps you need to be a little bit more honest with yourself and say, well, we've got so comfortable watching you and the other lady in London, that coming out of our comfort zones is a little bit difficult now because of the years of passiveness that we've allowed ourselves to be part of. I hope you can see that I have addressed the key issues back then as much as I was able to, and I'm definitely doing it more so now because I am able to. I can take the bull by the horns, as they say, and actually spell things out. Unfortunately, the audience haven't joined in, and that is a very sad thing. So the ball, as it were, is in your court, the spectators' court, and you need to do something also. I will continue to do what I can as I'm being threatened, as I've lost 16 years of my working life to these mechanisms that allow the Royal Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain and the General Pharmaceutical Council to monitor me whilst women are slain in this fashion who are supposed to be my effigies, so it appears. And nobody says anything, even when I produce the evidence, which, as I've explained, easily fulfills the criteria of prima facie, which is to say these can't be a string of coincidences and must be highly organised events by a network that is operating within the framework of the establishments themselves. The incident to do with the knife in the door of the special care baby unit ward where the paediatric tutor herself was based, and the gun being found downstairs just below where I was, on the same floor from which the verbal abuse had come, and the single stockings being tied to my door handle, and then yes, to other door handles along the landing, which were occupied rooms, which were occupied by other females. This event is quite significant and points in the direction of a sort of cultish, what do they call them? It sounds like the Old Boys Network, which may have allowed a few women in as well. It seems that was the intro to what was to follow. And normally an investigation would definitely pick up on this.